SpaceX recently announced an update regarding Starship Flight 3, but unfortunately there seems to be a delay in the launch date. The announcement stated that the Starship has been stacked for flight, accompanied by photos of the impressive rocket. However, CEO Elon Musk further mentioned that the flight is pending weather conditions. This aspect raises thoughts about the FAA license, suggesting that SpaceX is anticipated to secure it in time for a potential Thursday launch. It seems the FAA might not pose a hindrance for Flight 3 anymore, but weather conditions are now the main concern. Elon Musk's statement, Flight 3 end of the week, suggests that Friday is preferable weather-wise. While Thursday might be marginal, if Musk is referring to weather, Thursday remains the primary date. Additionally, a new NOTAM announcement for March 14th and the 15th has just been released. The Coast Guard's website specifies that the Starship test can occur between 7 and 11 in the morning, with SpaceX planning to make launch attempts daily until the test is successful, in case of any last-minute hurdles. Although the FAA's NOTAM doesn't provide specific dates, its operations advisory indicates that the primary launch date for the Starship third test flight is March 14th, with backup dates set for the following 2 days, on the 15th and on the 16th, along with an additional attempt on the 18th. NASA adds to the coordination effort alongside the Coast Guard and the FAA within its own schedule. NASA utilizes its WB-57 aircraft, or 57, to monitor rocket launches and spacecraft re-entries. The WB-57 schedule indicates an imaging placeholder for the 14th, which could provide crucial data for a test flight on that date. In summary, while Thursday's launch remains a possibility, Friday appears to offer more potential. SpaceX awaited the FAA's launch license. Teams diligently worked on preparing Ship 28, Booster 10, and Stage 0. Once the full stack was completed, all scaffolding surrounding Booster 10 was removed, indicating that the completion of work on that section barring any unforeseen technical issues. Additionally, signs of imminent launch were evident, as individuals began arriving at the South Texas launch site, including launch photographers and SpaceX enthusiasts. Notably, even a few Cybertrucks made appearances for photo opportunities with the colossal rocket. Photographer John Krause captured a striking image of 2 Cybertrucks alongside Starship in the pre-dawn hours, showcasing the anticipation surrounding the upcoming launch. Indeed, 3 launches in less than a year would be unprecedented for a new super heavy-lift rocket. It demonstrates the rapid pace of development and deployment that SpaceX is aiming for with Starship, marking a significant milestone in the evolution of space exploration technology. Musk's response indicating hopes for at least 6 more flights this year highlights SpaceX's ambitious plans for Starship. The successful completion of Flight 3 could indeed pave the way for a quicker turnaround between missions. Ship 29's recent spin prime test underscores the ongoing preparations for future flights, ensuring readiness and safety for upcoming launches. SpaceX aims to build upon the achievements of its previous Starship test with even more ambitious goals for the third. These objectives include a successful ascent burn of both stages, demonstrating the opening and closing of Starship's payload door, showcasing a propellant transfer during the upper stage's coast phase, achieving the first-ever relight of a Raptor engine while in space, and executing a controlled re-entry of Starship. These milestones represent significant advancements in the capabilities of the Starship rocket and demonstrate SpaceX's commitment to pushing the boundaries of space exploration. SpaceX's plan for the third Starship test includes attempting to land both the first and second stage rockets. The upper stage's engine relight in space will be tested, with the second stage expected to land in the Indian Ocean. However, the success of these plans depends on the outcome of the mission. While failure is always a possibility, SpaceX aims for a successful outcome. With 2 previous flights completed, the upcoming test will showcase the potential of this groundbreaking mega rocket. Starship's ultimate goal is to facilitate human exploration of the Moon and Mars, paving the way for sustained space missions and potential colonization efforts on these celestial bodies. In other space news related to SpaceX, on March 12, the Crew Dragon spacecraft Endurance completed its return journey, splashing down in the Gulf of Mexico near Pensacola, Florida at 5:47 a.m. Eastern. This marked the end of the 199-day cruise mission, which began in August. The multinational crew, consisting of NASA astronaut Jasmine McBelly, European Space Agency astronaut Andreas Mogensen, Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Satoshi Furukawa, and Roscosmos cosmonaut, Konstantin Borisov. This embarked from the capsule within an hour of splashdown. The rapid recovery of the capsule set a new speed record among the 12 Crew Dragon splashdowns. Steve Stitch, NASA's Commercial Crew Program Manager, praised SpaceX's team for their efficiency in retrieving the capsule, crediting favorable weather conditions for the swift recovery. Endurance's third successful mission, totaling 534 days in space, solidified its status as the crew-rated vehicle with the longest space tenure in history. Venji Reed, SpaceX's Senior Director for Human Spaceflight Programs, emphasized this achievement, highlighting the Dragon spacecraft's reliability as an industry workhorse. Crew 7 left the International Space Station, or the ISS, a week after the arrival of Crew 8 on the Endeavour spacecraft. Crew 8, with 476 days in space and counting, is poised to surpass Endurance's record. Once the astronauts Matthew Dominic, Michael Barat, and Jeanette Epps, along with Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Rebenkin, will remain on the ISS for the next 6 months. The conclusion of Crew 7's mission frees up a docking port on the ISS for the upcoming Cargo Dragon mission. Cargo Dragon mission, CRS-30, set to launch later this month. Following a month-long stay, Boeing's CST-100 Starliner is scheduled for its first crewed flight in early May. Meanwhile, another innovator in the industry, Rocket Lab, had successfully launched a radar imaging satellite for Japanese company's Perspective on March 12. And now on to Japan. It was an important day for the country. A Kairos rocket was launching today. With just 5 seconds after the takeoff, the rocket exploded, it burst into flames. The Kairos rocket was made by Space One. It's a private space company. The launch was to test Japan's private space sector, but the explosion has spooked observers. Because while failures are commonplace for space agencies, private space companies have taken it to a new level. And what risks do these explosions pose? The 18-meter Kairos rocket was all prepared. It was geared for takeoff. The launch took place in western Japan. Hundreds of spectators gathered. They all had high hopes for it. If it had succeeded, Space One would have been the first private company to put a rocket into orbit. We have ignition and lift up. Just 5 seconds after takeoff, it exploded. The rocket burst into flames, leaving behind a large cloud of smoke. Space One scrambled into action. The fire was soon put out. No one was hurt. But how did the rocket burst within just seconds? That's something Space One will have to investigate. Approximately 5 seconds after liftoff, measures were taken to suspend the flight. A task force has been set up and the cause is under investigation. Space One is a private company. It was established in 2018 by a team of Japanese tech businesses. Since then, it has chased space glory. The plan was to put the satellite into orbit. It was supposed to happen 51 minutes after takeoff. But the rocket didn't even last 5 seconds. The cause for the explosion is not known yet. But it is not the first hurdle for Space One. It has faced part shortages, it has battled technical issues, and all of this delayed the Kairos launch. But even after takeoff, the problems didn't end for the company. They will now probe this launch and course correct. Crashes are not new for private space companies. They may have joined the space race, but they don't often get it right on the first try. Or even the second. Case in point, SpaceX. Its Starship has crashed not just once, but twice. But it hasn't bothered Elon Musk. He says crashes are important. It helps the company understand the problems. So for private space companies, they have become commonplace. But not everyone has that luxury. Take national space agencies. For example, they run on public funding. So they cannot go about crashing rockets for the sake of research. 1 or 2 attempts are expected and normal. But SpaceX believes it could have at least a dozen crashes before it gets it right. For that, you need very deep pockets. Because imagine the money that will be spent. Even when cash is not a constraint, there are risks of space debris. In 2022, a huge piece of space junk smashed into a sheep farm. That was in Southeast Australia. A hunk of metal was linked to a SpaceX Crew 1 mission. SpaceX has not confirmed it, but it raises concerns. Of course, chances of humans being killed by space debris are low, but it can happen. Which brings us to the space race. It's getting crowded. Over 100 orbital launches are performed every year. The number will only rise in the coming years. Private companies are behind a lot of these launches. They are testing rockets, they are crashing them. And that means space is becoming crowded with junk parts. Which means the risk of death and injury will grow. They say try and try again until you succeed. But how many rockets do you destroy before you give up? The launch took place at 11:03 a.m. Eastern from Launch Complex 1 in New Zealand. Initially delayed by 3 days due to weather conditions, the launch occurred at the end of the day's approximately 75-minute launch window, which was also impacted by weather considerations. Approximately 54 minutes after liftoff, the Rocket Lab Electron deployed the STRIX-3 satellite into a sun-synchronous orbit. This mission marked the fourth Electron launch for Synspective, a company focused on developing a constellation of synthetic aperture radar or SAR imaging satellites. Previous Synspective satellites were launched on Electron missions in December 2020, February 2022, and September 2022. The company has successfully secured over $200 million in funding to establish a constellation of SAR satellites, including a significant $100 million Series B round in March 2022. The company's ambitious plan aims to have 30 satellites in orbit by 2026. STRIX-3 is the fourth Synspective satellite launched by Rocket Lab, with 2 more Electron launches included in a multi-launch contract announced between the two companies in July of 2023. Dubbed by Rocket Lab, this launch marked the 45th Electron launch overall and the 3rd Electron mission in the current year. The National Reconnaissance Office's 4th Electron mission is scheduled for no earlier than March 20th from Launch Complex 2, at Wallops Island, Virginia. During the company's earnings call on February 27, Chief Financial Officer Adam Spice revealed that Rocket Lab has 22 Electron launches planned for the year, a notable increase from the 10 back in 2023. Among these 2 are for the suborbital version called HASTE, characterized by a higher selling price, but also higher costs due to range fees and mission assurance requirements. And that's about it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, and that's all for today's update. If you enjoyed watching and found it useful, please make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. And if you want to support our channel and if you want to be up to date, you can become an exclusive member, so click on our perks through the link in the description below. Thanks to watching and see you next time.